Another Occupy Wall Street protest gathering steam right now in New York City. This is the 20th day of demonstrations there, although tonight's is expected to be smaller than yesterday's, which attracted thousands. Last night's demonstration ended with scuffles between New York police and some of those protesters. In the end, 28 people arrested last night. CNN's Susan Candiati out in the crowd tonight. Susan, we've seen these protests now for weeks. What will it take to satisfy them?
Well, that's hard to say, and I think they're trying to work that out themselves now, because we're still trying to hear some goals, and that's what they're trying to formulate. As we speak now, we can tell you, if yesterday was meant to be a tipping point in terms of attracting more people, well, we haven't seen additional numbers today. They're back to the normal number of people that show up at this park, which is very busy at this hour, and they have a daily walk over to Wall Street. It was uneventful today. What's happening right now is that they're making some speeches, and because they don't use microphones, you need a permit for that. Someone stands way off in the distance, says a few words, and then people take turns shouting it out to people back here on the sidelines. John?
That's an old-fashioned way of spreading the word, I guess. Where do they plan to go next?
Well, that's the question. We have seen, of course, the same amount of interest here in New York. We are seeing additional protests in other U.S. cities today. For example, in San Francisco, in Los Angeles, in Portland, Oregon, as well as a couple of cities in Texas, Dallas and Houston. So probably you'll see more rallies like that. Also, they're trying to figure out whether they're going to establish some political goals, which we haven't seen yet. They keep insisting they're not going to align themselves with any political party. If that does happen, they say it might be some splinter groups.
Susan Candiati in the middle of it all, braving a form of democracy herself. Susan, thanks for your courage and your coverage. We'll keep in touch. Hundreds of anti-war protesters marched in Washington this afternoon, marking the 10th anniversary of the war in Afghanistan. The protesters say they also blame Wall Street for economic inequality, so some also gathered outside the Chamber of Commerce building.